And it looks like we're having all kinds of connection issues here tonight. Looks like YouTube did not start the stream at the beginning of the race or when we got into the race here. Facebook stream has been going the whole time as far as I am aware, but YouTube is now up. Yeah, we apologize. I'm not sure what's going on here tonight. Just lots of network issues, connection issues. Wayna had a couple problems as well, so we appreciate you bearing with us and trying to get through the action here. This is all over the internet, so sometimes there's some hiccups. But Seth Schultz is going to be the new leader here. Todd Cray is going to be the one on his inside on this start. Josh Stewart not as bad off as I thought he was going to be. He's going to restart third here. And might be able to work past the top two. He's definitely had the speed in the truck tonight. But Ron Hollifield has slowly but steadily made his way up inside the top 5. Now in 4th place after Brad Speidel got the speeding penalty. And maybe going to give these guys a run for their money. We've seen Ron really step it up here in the last few weeks. And see what he can do here. So we're about halfway through this race. Jay Felton also making his way towards the front of the field. He's going to be 8th on this restart. And he was kind of nowhere to be found at the beginning of the race. We'll see what he can do here. Pace car's working through 3 and 4. Todd Cray with the nose out front. Maybe Cray is the leader. We'll see how this goes on the start. I believe Schultz is the leader. He is. He gets him going. Hollifield does not get a good start on the outside line, but not going to lose any spots because the inside also stacked it up behind the 33 of Mark Jenkins. And top 4 are going to be single file at this point. But the battle for 5th is on with Mark Jenkins on the inside of the 83 of Thomas McBride. And Jay Felton taking advantage of that checkup on the start. He's going to find his way up into 7th place. Jason Mullis in 8th. Rob Jenkins 9th. And Josue Tellez, who we saw involved in that earlier caution, now inside the top 10. So good recovery from the number 24 truck there. Adam Nowinski currently on the inside of Caleb Thompson trying to make that line work. And it seems to work for the first couple of laps, but after that, it gets a lot harder to pass on the inside. And coming out of turn 2, that's a very tricky spot to drive the truck. The low line has some bumps, and it's a little hairy getting through there. Todd Cray working to the inside. And he actually led the lap, but Schultz maybe making a mistake out of turn 4, now working back to the inside, coming out of turn 2 with a big push from the 22 of Josh Stewart. And Stewart looking to find his way back to the lead after making the mistake on pit road. Really close action at the very front there. 31 of Schultz dives all the way to the apron, and it's close at the line, but Cray leads that lap just by a hair, 22 thousandths. And Schultz trying to pull a slide job here. He pulls in front of the 21, able to hold on to the spot with a great run coming out of the turn. Josh Stewart still in 3rd place. He's got Ron Hollifield putting some pressure on him now. Hollifield peeks to the inside, kind of backs out of it, I think, and wait for a better opportunity than that. His top 4 are pretty much online. Hollifield close to the wall. Not sure if he brushed it or not. It looks pretty clean on the truck. But Mark Jenkins starting to close in on him. See what Stewart can do here is we've got a few laps on the tires now, 6 laps. It looks like Stewart has struggled once we get to about the 20 lap run mark, and we're back under caution.
Temps real quick and then tell me what you got.
Caleb Thompson going around. He's got some heavy right side damage. Let's go take a look and see what happened to the number 4 truck. Looks like a little 3-wide action going down through turns 1 and 2 here. The 24 of Tellez up on the outside, backed out of it. Caleb coming through the middle here. He's getting a little loose on exit, gets down into the 72 of Kamara, who's already been involved. Oh, and the big hit on the inside wall. Completely lifted the truck off the ground. And let's go take a look at that again. From the inside, Thompson stuck in the middle, 3-wide. It looks like he didn't get loose, maybe just got hooked there by the 72. Just slightest contact, and that sent him around. So a rough break there for the number 4 of Caleb Thompson, who was making his way towards the front. Seth Schultz, still your leader. Was able to hold on to it and actually retake it from Todd Cray. And Josh Stewart right behind them as well. We had two drivers stay out. 7 laps on the tires so far. Thomas McBride comes across the lead a lap. Jason Mullis also staying out. Frederick Hofstetter staying out as well. So a handful of drivers here. We're going to take a look at the end of pit lane. Bring up the timer here. Yeah, it looks like Mark Jenkins, the first one off pit road. He took 2 tires. James Brown as well with 2 tires. And Todd Cray, Seth Schultz, Ron Hollifield, Josh Stewart, and Jay Felton currently scored in the top 10. So once again, Mark Jenkins taking 2 tires. We'll see if it works out for him better this time than it did last time. And 68 of James Brown, after being involved in the first caution of the night, has made a nice recovery here and trying a little strategy to gain some track position up into 5th place. And Cray did beat Seth Schultz out of pit road. A really good stop there for the number 21. Also a good stop for Ron Hollifield, who beats Josh Stewart out of pit lane. 13.9, which I believe was the fastest for any driver taking 2 tires. Rodney Kramer showing a 10-second stop, so I believe he took 2 tires as well. Looks like the stream quality here has stabilized a bit. Not having too many issues with the connection, so moving in the right direction. Thanks for everybody who stuck with us there and has since tuned in over on YouTube. Definitely had a few issues here tonight with the stream and the server, but making our way through it. One more time, tonight's action brought to you by WISEGUY Design. They create some pretty awesome paint schemes, hero cards, t-shirts, merchandise, whatever you need for your real life or sim racing team. Go check those guys over at Facebook. Link is down in the description of the YouTube and Facebook videos, so you can check them out there. We appreciate them for sponsoring tonight's race and a few races this season here in the DieHard Racing League, and letting this action come to you. Jason Mullis is going to be your leader here. I didn't see what happened. I thought Mark Jenkins was the leader, but I think he dropped back or something. Maybe lost his spot. Jason Mullis has led 2 laps here. Todd Cray is going to be 3rd place. James Brown 4th. Oh, I'm sorry, James Brown going to be... Yes. Okay, so Mark Jenkins, yeah, he took 2 tires. Jason Mullis, the only one staying out. We had a couple other drivers come in. That's where my confusion is coming from. Mullis going to be out there on 10-lap-old tires. About half of those probably under green flag conditions. So going to be at a bit of a disadvantage. We haven't seen the 35 up towards the front too much tonight. So we'll see what he's got for these guys. Maybe he was saving a bit on the run there. But nonetheless, he's going to be the one to get him going as the pace car is working his way through turns 3 and 4. Mullis out on 2 tires, the 33, or Mullis out on old tires, 33 on 2 tires. James Brown also on 2 tires. On the inside line, we'll see. I think so going. 35 holds him up. 33 does not get a good start. The 68 gets moving and jumps out of line, going 3 wide here, but not able to make any progress. Todd Cray already back into 2nd position, and we're 3 wide back here. Ron Hollifield on the outside, Seth Schultz in the middle. Schultz able to clear the 7. And working on the back bumper of the 33 of Mark Jenkins, who lost a bit of ground there on that start, not getting on the gas pedal as soon as he'd like. Nowimski side by side back here with Rob Jenkins as well. So Rob Jenkins making his way towards the front. Felton currently in 10th place has made his way through the field. And Robert Berus, after trying some strategy earlier and pitting after a really short run, starting to make his way back up through the field into 11th position. And he's one of the fastest guys on track, so it's only a matter of time before he gets up there and starts battling it out, but kind of held up at the moment. Right now the battle for 6th place is on. Ron Hollifield holds off Josh Stewart. So Hollifield showing some strength here. Currently in 6th place. The 68 sliding up the track in 3 and 4. Here comes the 7. Oh, contact out of the turn. 68 holds on to it. Looks like Ron kind of drifted up the track just a touch. The 68 had slid way up early in the turn. As now we're kind of stacking up behind the 7 and the 68. Pretty much nose to tail for this line of trucks. Nobody making any moves at the moment, but Stewart's still working on the outside of the 68. Able to clear him, and here comes Hollifield. Gonna try and make the pass this time on the high line. And I think this time it might work out a little bit better for him. 68 pinched down on the inside. Actually gets a pretty good run being on those older tires. Older left sides at least. But 7 getting a good run down the straightaway. So we got to battle up towards the front. Todd Cray trying to take the lead from Jason Mullis, who stayed out and makes his way past here in turns 1 and 2. Here comes Mark Jenkins also trying to make his way up towards the lead. Seth Schultz right there as well. And Josh Stewart hoping these guys battle it out a bit longer so he can start to catch back up. Hollifield has passed the 68 and is under attack from the 10 of Rob Jenkins. All these drivers single file. And a couple of guys who have had issues here tonight, Brad Speidel and James Brown, currently inside the top 12, so good recoveries and strategy calls by these guys to make their way back up through the field. Berus has not made the progress that he probably would have liked to have seen at this point, as James Brown to the inside line of the 10. It looks like Rob Jenkins is going to be able to probably hold on to the spot as they work their way through 3 and 4. 68 pretty strong on that inside line. We've seen that throughout this run, even though he's on older left sides. Done a pretty good job down there. Nowimski giving the 10 a push down the front straightaway. Looks like Ron Hollifield has caught up to Seth Schultz. Schultz with an issue. Was battling in the top 3 or 4, but has lost a lot of ground, and he's still stuck behind Jason Mullis. And Hollifield is right there on his back bumper. Todd Cray out in front, 0.2 of a second over Mark Jenkins, who took 2 tires. And then Josh Stewart once again finding his way towards the front. He's in 3rd place again. We'll see what kind of progress he makes here, because we're 40 laps to go in this race. We're definitely going to see at least one more pit stop. And that would be the final stop unless we've got a couple cautions. And it seems like 2 tires has been decent on the short run here tonight. Mark Jenkins making it work for right now. We saw Berus try it earlier. You see a big run by the 28, gets to the bumper, the 36, or the 68. And trying to find a gap to his outside, but can't get there. He gets a big push down the straightaway, and they separate themselves by 2 truck lengths over Jay Felton. And once again, Felton, last week's winner, kind of under attack from Robert Berus right near his bumper. 28 still looking for a way around the 68 up in front of them. But nowhere to go, and James Brown kind of settles in 8th place, it looks like. Cutting down across the apron of the track here. Slides back up. Gained about a truck length in doing that. It looks like Felton maybe struggling with his turn 1 entry, sliding up the track just a little bit, but able to hold on to the spot for now. We've got a battle a little farther back between David Kamara and Adam Matz. We've seen Kamara involved in a couple incidents here tonight, trying to make the move on the 59. We've also seen involved in one incident. Josue Tellez still running solidly here in 13th, just in front of those 2 battling. He was also involved in an incident earlier on, coming out of turn 4. These 3 fighting pretty hard right now. 72 trying to make the pass on the 24 at the moment. Doesn't get the run that he needs coming out of turn 2, but I think he's got a little bit more speed. The 24 probably suffering from that front end damage as they dive down into turns 3 and 4. And the 72 clocks by Christopher Chevrolet, trying to make that pass on the inside. Not able to make it work. We got a battle for 2nd place. Mark Jenkins on the inside, Josh Stewart trying to make the pass on the outside, and Seth Schultz just behind these guys. 22 pulls a crossover coming out of turn 2. Let's get a better view of this. Go to the chopper. Tucks back in line, not able to get the run that he needed. Remember, the 33 is on 2 tires from that last pit stop, and Josh Stewart, one of our fastest drivers here tonight, trying to make the pass, but just not able to do it. Ron Hollifield has found his way back inside the top 5. Currently running in 5th. He's got Jason Mullis, who stayed out during that pit cycle, back behind him in 6th. So, good job there by the 35, who I believe was outside the top 10 during the pit cycle, and ended up taking the lead, leading a few laps, and sitting solidly in 6th place. Kind of found a nice spot right there. Todd Cray out here leading this thing now, 3.5 tenths out in front. Josh Stewart still trying to find a way behind, or by the 33, stuck behind him right now. Schultz slowly reeling these guys in. battle between the 72 and the 2 still rages on. This is for 11th and 12th. They made their way past the 24 of Josue Tellez. And Thomas McBride trying to make a move here on the 59. Also Art Peck trying to recover after getting involved in an incident a bit earlier as well. He's currently in 16th. Currently have 23 drivers on the lead lap as the 83 makes a move to the inside. 24 drivers still on track. We started with 27 in the race. So basically everybody's still a contender here, but James Brown with quite a bit of damage. Looks like he's actually making his way to pit road. James, a couple seconds off the pace. Looks like he's going to tow it and call it a night. Probably pretty frustrated after running up close to the front. I didn't actually see what happened. I thought the 28... Oh, contact between the 28 and the 11. Nowimski holds on to it, but here comes Robert Berus with a big run coming out of turn 4. Makes a bold move to the inside, and we're 3 wide. See if he can pull off the pass here. 28 trying to side draft him and slow him down. Berus is going to be able to slide up in front, and he's going to get a twofer there. As Felton and Nowimski got together. I was just going to say the 28 was racing with the 68 of James Brown. I didn't see what happened, though. They must have gotten together, because the 68 had some serious damage, and did not see how he got that. The battle up here for second place still rages on as Todd Cray has stepped out by 0.8 of a second. Josh Stewart still putting pressure on the 33 of Mark Jenkins, and Seth Schultz putting pressure on Stewart. Stewart making a move to the inside, getting a push from the 31 now. I think these two are going to have to work together, as it seems like it's pretty tough to pass at this point in the run. 22 really sends it in to turn 3, drifts up the track on exit. Just stays off the wall, probably inches, but just enough, and they box in the 33, trying to hold him back. Schultz making a move to the inside of Josh Stewart. Big run down the front straightaway. They both dive it in. In turn 1, Schultz with a good run on the inside line. Trying to hook right down by the line. But Stewart crosses him over, coming back to the inside now, going into turn 3. And Mark Jenkins now shuffled back into 4th position. Ron Hollifield closing in as these guys battle. Ron, I think, is struggling with a little bit of a tight condition. You can see him have to kind of roll out of it there coming out of the turn. Mullis still holding on the 6th. Rob Jenkins up to 7th. Robert Berus, after making that 2-for move, is now up into 8th. And Jay Felton gets by the 28 of Nowimski and finds his way up into 9th. So solid recovery by the 75. Back up inside the top 10. And Felton also, after kind of being nowhere for the first part of the race, running in 9th place. Todd Cray has pulled away now to a 1.5 second lead after that battle ensued between the 22, 31, and 33. Schultz going to try and close the gap, though. The current top 3 have been pretty even tonight, so I wouldn't be surprised that Cray holds on to his lead until the pit cycle, and somebody's going to have to try something to leapfrog him. We're getting down to the closing stages of this race. 28 laps to go. We've had 11 lead changes and 5 cautions. A lot of minor incidents, a couple self-spins. pretty good action here side by side all night. Felton is still under attack back here by Adam Nowinski, and behind them, David Camara and Mike Major battling it out. And it looks like we had a driver come down pit road, Robert Berus on pit road. So maybe going to try and leapfrog some of these guys. Also, Adam Matz in on pit road. Jason Mullis pulling off of pit road. The 15-second stop. He's actually going to pass those two. He was in front of them, so that makes sense. Berus making his way out, and Adam Matz now on his way out of pit road. So we'll see where these guys re-enter as the pit cycle is started. Todd Cray's in. Jay Felton is in. Adam Nowinski, David Camara, Art Peck, all those drivers in on pit road right now. So Todd Cray, let's see what kind of a pit stop he gets. Pretty clean entry into the box. And no issues there. Let's keep an eye on Seth Schultz. When does he make it in? He's coming in now. Josh Stewart stays out and inherits the lead now. We haven't seen Stewart back out in front for quite a while. Let's see how this all cycles. I think Jason Mullis maybe going to have an advantage here after pitting so early. Making his way down the backstretch now. Going to pass up the lap truck of Caleb Thompson, who's just making his way out of pit road with that heavy rear end damage. So where is Seth Schultz? Just making his way off pit road. Todd Cray on the front straightaway. Okay, so these guys aren't going to pass up Todd Cray, but they did gain some ground. Cray going to pass Mark Jenkins, Ron Hollyfield. Seth Schultz is working his way off turn 2. He's going to have slightly fresher tires. Just one lap or so. He was about 1.5 seconds behind when pit cycle started. And let's see where he ends up. Currently about 3/4 second back. Actually, yeah, less than 0.7 seconds behind the leader. Todd Cray, who's actually not the leader. We've got a handful of drivers who have stayed out. Mike Major takes the lead. Josue Tellez has inherited second place. Frederick Hofstetter still out there. Cody Franklin also out there. Josh Stewart is on pit road. He just came in this lap. We'll see where he comes out. But Todd Cray is working his way past the start-finish line. And Stewart is just rolling off pit road, so he's going to lose quite a bit of ground. We'll see if he can make it up with fresher tires, but I don't think the advantage is going to be there for him. So maybe a little bit late on the strategy. Mike Major on his way in. Frederick Hofstetter stays out. He's going to lead a lap here tonight. Cody Franklin just behind him. We saw Cody involved in an incident a bit earlier. Josue Tellez is in as well. Those guys trying to pull a little different strategy here by pitting later than the leaders and maybe try and make up some time at the tail end of a run. It's Hofstetter working his way through 3 and 4. Not going to come in this time, so he's going to stay out. Cody Franklin also stays out. Todd Cray on the backstretch under fire from Seth Schultz. 0.3 seconds, the gap now. And Schultz looking for his first win of the season. He's come up short just a couple times. And Todd Cray does have a win so far this year. But Schultz would like to get one over Todd Cray if he can. They're tied in points, and I think that would be a tiebreaker if Schultz can make it happen. Here comes Frederick Hofstetter on the outside. Cody Franklin still staying out as well. We're coming to 20 laps to go. I'm not sure if these drivers are going to try and make it. They pitted 30 laps ago. We got 20 to go. Fuel range is 40 to 42 laps. It doesn't seem like they could possibly make it, but maybe there were some caution laps in there. And they're about 20 seconds ahead of these two drivers who are just trying to make their way back up there. And 19.5 seconds the gap back to Todd Cray from Frederick Hofstetter. And I think through turns 1 and 2 coming up, I will take a listen on board with the number 12 truck, and we'll jump in with Cody Franklin if I don't hear anything unusual, but I have a feeling they might be doing some stuff with the clutch. Nope, no clutching. Here, the tail end of the truck starting to get a little bit loose on the number 13 there. He's got quite a bit of damage on that spoiler, so I can only imagine he's got a handful to deal with there. Todd Cray and Seth Schultz working together nose to tail down the back straightaway. The gap now to the leader, 17 seconds. They were a second and a half a lap faster these last couple laps. And at that pace, they will definitely get there, but that difference in time is not going to last. As 12 and 13 also getting draft off of each other. And these guys will start to fall off here in about 10 laps. And the times will probably somewhat equalize. There will still be an advantage to the fresher tires, but if the 12 and 13 are pulling a tires or pit strategy, I don't know if Cray or Schultz can get there. It's going to be very close. Gap now down to 15 seconds. We're at 17 laps to go. They have to gain just about 8 or 9 tenths a lap to get there and then make the pass at that point. And Jason Mullis, who pitted a bit earlier, up into 5th place, but under fire from the 33 of Mark Jenkins. Robert Berus got shuffled back in the pit strategy, or the pit cycle, back into 10th place. Jay Felton in 8th. Ron Hollifield also losing some ground, but on a little fresher tires than some of these drivers. Josh Stewart shuffled back into 7th, so he lost quite a bit of ground. Currently about 4 seconds back from Todd Cray and Seth Schultz when he was racing up there with them. Meanwhile, Frederick Hofstetter continues to stay out. He's led 7 laps, and Cody Franklin just behind him this whole time, running about 42.1 or 42.2 second laps. That time a 41.9 compared to Todd Cray's 40. Well, we'll see at the line here what he actually runs this time, but somewhere in the neighborhood of 40.5, I would think, 40.6. So 1.3 seconds the gap closing there in that lap. 15 to go. The gap is at 11.3 seconds. Now, we've seen it a lot in real life, but fuel strategy definitely plays a big factor in these races at Michigan. We've seen it not work out for quite a few drivers, and we've seen quite a few times it has worked out. So it looks like Mark Jenkins was able to make his way past Jason Mullis. Josh Stewart is closing in rapidly on Mullis and Jenkins. And Cody Franklin is in. So 2nd place, making his way down pit road. Obviously didn't think he was going to be able to make it, or was just hoping for a caution. And Hofstetter sounds like he might be slowing down to come in. Nope. Continues to stay out. Maybe he's got a few more laps of fuel in that truck. Currently at 36 laps on the stint. So can Hofstetter make it? 13 laps to go. Todd Cray in second. 8 seconds back. Seth Schultz still on his bumper. But hasn't tried to make a move. Maybe he just realizes they need to make their way back to the lead before he tries anything. Hofstetter now making his way to pit road, so it's not going to be a fuel strategy race. It's whoever's got the fastest truck here coming to 12 laps to go. And Todd Cray takes over the lead once again, and Seth Schultz all over his bumper. They're making their way past Brad Speidel, who has had some issues, it looks like. Right front damage on that number 5 truck. So Schultz all over the back bumper. Mark Jenkins about 2 seconds back. Josh Stewart now has closed up his gap to the leaders by about 1.5 seconds. He's now 2.6 seconds back from the leaders. Jason Mullis 3 seconds back. And Ron Hollifield not too far behind him, but Jay Felton is closing the gap to Ron. And Robert Berus is falling behind Jay and under pressure from Thomas McBride, who's got slightly fresher tires. Looks like the 83 trying to find a way around, given the 75 a push down the front straightaway. Rob Jenkins currently rounding out the top 10. But I think we're going to keep an eye on the battle up front, as this is going to be for the race win, and we've only got about 5 laps or 6 laps until the flag ends it. Todd Cray now coming up to Frederick Hofstetter, who a pretty solid pit stop, but he's struggling with that truck. Maybe just letting the leaders by. I'm not sure exactly what that situation was, but he is actually well off the pace. Ten laps to go in this one. The WISEGUY design Michigan 100. The final stages of this race coming up, and currently the main contenders are Todd Cray and Seth Schultz, who come into this race tied for points for second place. Josh Stewart, the fastest driver all night, is catching up to them, but he's got 2 seconds to make up in 9 laps. He's back in third. He's going to make his way past the 12 of Frederick Hofstetter here in just a moment. Mark Jenkins has drifted back to 4th. Jason Mullis starting to reel him back in, and Ron Hollifield really closing the gap to the 35 as well. So we could see Ron here with a top 5 at some point here in the next few laps. Meanwhile, we're at 8 laps to go. Cray and Schultz pretty much nose to tail. Josh Stewart 2.2 seconds back. The tire advantage between these two drivers is Seth Schultz. He's got 1 lap fresher tires. Josh Stewart has 2 lap fresher tires than Schultz, but I think that gap is just going to be too great for him to make up here in the next 8 laps. He's going to have to gain at least 1/4 second to each lap, and it doesn't look like that is going to be the case. But what can Schultz do here? It's tough to get a run on people, and especially make a move on either end of the track. You really have to get a really significant run or dive it into the turn, kind of scare your competitor to make anything happen. He gets a good run coming through 1 and 2, right on the back bumper now. Going into turn 3. Just going to ride behind him. There's a lap truck up here, the 13. Is that going to be a factor as they exit the turn? It looks like he might be kind of slowed up the 31 as he had to probably back out of it to avoid him. Cody Franklin now, after staying out for so long, he's a lap down. Currently scored in 20th. So staying out that long didn't help him at all tonight. But if a caution had come out, it could have changed the complexion of this race entirely. The gap is closing from Josh Stewart to these drivers at the front, 1.9 seconds. Stewart was about a 1/10.5 faster last lap, but he needs to be quite a bit faster. It needs to be about 3/10 or 4/10 a lap faster at this point in the run, and I don't think it's going to happen. Schultz still within striking distance, but waiting for a good opportunity. I think Todd Cray really has got it figured out here. He's been very smooth for a lot of this race. I haven't seen any struggles on either end of the track. Schultz getting a big run out of turn 4, going to try and close the gap here on the front straightaway. Still about a car length and a half. 4 laps to go. Can Todd Cray hold on to this victory and take his 2nd of the year? Will Seth Schultz be able to make a move here? We are coming to 3 to go this time by. Josh Stewart closing that gap still, 1.8 seconds. So if anything happens between these top 2, he's still in range to take the win. Mark Jenkins still holding the gap over Jason Mullis, but Ron Hollifield putting pressure on the 35, and that's going to be for a top 5 position. And Ron would definitely love a solid run here, solid top 5 after kind of making a mistake last week and giving one away. And Jay Felton has quietly moved his way up in the 7th here as the race is closing out. Cray has stretched that lead out by about another truck length, but here comes Schultz coming down the back straightaway with a big run, closing that gap back up. And the harder these 2 battle, Stewart may be able to close it up. He's 1.6 seconds back. He's going to need to be as fast as he can be here these next 2 laps, but if there's any contact made or any kind of bold moves that slow these 2 drivers down, you never know what can happen. These drivers have a lot of respect for each other. We've seen them race hard throughout the season so far, but the 21 with the advantage, the 31 wants the win. But what will he do for it? Is he going to have to make a dive bomb move? Is he going to have to give the bumper to the 21 to get him out of the way? They're running pretty much the same line. So we're coming to 1 to go. In just a second, they're working their way out of turn 4. Todd Cray stretching the lead out. Now a 1/4 of a second. What can Schultz do to close it back up? He's not going to be close enough to make a move if he's this far back. And white flag is out. Todd Cray, your leader. Working through turns 1 and 2. Schultz not able to close the gap on entry, but getting a pretty good run here. Really slinging it out of turn 2. Starting to close the gap. 1 truck length, he makes a move to the inside, looks back to the outside, and then 1 more move to the inside, gonna dive it in here in 3 and 4. Seth Schultz trying to get the truck to stick down there, but it's not gonna happen. Todd Cray making his way out of the turn. He's gonna hold on for victory. Schultz dives to the apron, but it's not enough. Todd Cray is gonna be your winner here tonight in the Wise Guy Design Michigan 100. Race number 5 here in the DieHard Racing League goes to Todd Cray. His 2nd win of the year. So congrats to Todd. A great run at the end of this one. A lot of respect between these 2 drivers. But Todd ultimately taking the victory here. Josh Stewart does end up 3rd. He's 1.6 seconds back at the end of the race, and just not quite enough. Maybe pitting 1 lap sooner would have worked for him, but could not get there. So the number 21 truck, Todd Cray.
Yeah, good win, man.
Comes in 2nd in points, tied with Seth Schultz. And I believe these drivers may be able to even potentially take the lead, as Robert Berus didn't have his best run of the year, finishing 8th. But we're going to come back and interview our top 3 in just a moment after our commercial. All right, and we are back. We're going to be bringing in our 3rd place driver here tonight. Josh Stewart, Adam in the SR booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Adam.
Hey, Josh. Well, you started out the night strong on the pole, and you were fastest in practice and qualifying. You got shuffled back a couple times with various pit strategies, but you make your way back up here to finish 3rd. Kind of describe how your night went for us.
Yeah, the car started out pretty loose once you got about 20 laps on the tires, and then as the race went on, the car actually got really tight. But yeah, like you said, we had a lot of trouble on pit road. A lot of guys taking 2 tires. Seemed like you needed that track position. You get in behind another car or another truck, about a truck length, and it just stall you out.
Yeah, we saw you miss your box just a little bit on that one stop, and we thought it was going to hurt you a lot worse than it did. And I think you came out 3rd after Brad Speitel got a pit penalty, and you did a pretty good job of holding on. And I think you were the guy to beat, but it definitely looked hard to pass. Um, but yeah, was there any kind of a plan for pit strategy going in? Did you ever consider taking 2 tires towards the end of the race there?
No, the track just ate the tires up pretty bad. Yeah, I missed pit box there once. I had to back up actually twice in it before it would start to service the truck. But yeah, I didn't really want to take 4 tires at all. It just seemed like it would eat that right rear and left rear up pretty bad.
Gotcha. Yeah, we saw a few drivers try the 2 tire strategy, and it would work on the short run, but I think on the long run it didn't pay off for the most part. There were a few drivers that were able to gain track position, but I think you were the guy to beat, and you do a good job recovering at the end. You were, I think, 4 seconds back. Did you think you were going to be able to chase those guys down?
Yeah, I thought I had a little bit of a chance there, but Seth and Todd really didn't fight it out a whole lot. They had the drafting help there, and I didn't really have anybody near me that I could get any drafting help. But I did have maybe like 2 lap pressure tires, which was helping me a little bit. But yeah, I just needed them to get side by side and race a little. But they're pretty good. They don't make very many mistakes, so uh, I knew I had to work for it if I was going to get back to them.
Yeah, they were pushing each other, just drafting the entire time, and I was thinking it might come down to fuel strategy because we saw Hofstetter and I don't remember the other, Cody Franklin, both of those drivers staying out for a long time during the cycle, and I thought they might be able to make it on fuel, but the top 2 were pushing each other, and that definitely didn't help you. I expected somebody to make a move at some point, but it didn't happen ultimately. Um, but next week we're going to Talladega. completely different race. What are your thoughts going out there?
Just take it 1 week at a time. Do a little bit of practice. Like I said, drafting is gonna be a big thing, and being side by side. Don't know really what happened tonight. We had a lot of cautions, but I think it was just where the track just started off pretty loose, and then finally starting to tighten up as the race went on.
Yeah, we saw the track temp drop from around 100 degrees down to lower 90s, which definitely would tighten things up quite a bit. But yeah, just a lot of self spins, real minor contact through like the center of the turn for a few of those incidents. And nothing too major, another pretty solid race from you guys over here. Um, so it was a fun one to watch.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to be in, for sure.
All right. Well, before we let you go and celebrate this third place finish, anybody you want to give a shout out to, Josh?
Yeah, I want to thank WISEGUY Graphics for coming on, sponsoring the race. DieHard Racing League for putting on the league, and everything you guys do up in SR Broadcasting.
Awesome, Josh. Well, congrats again on third place, and hopefully we'll catch you in here next week.
Thanks, Adam.
All right, that was our third place finisher, Josh Stewart. Going to bring up second place finisher and league owner Seth Schultz. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Hey, Seth, you put a hard charge there on the number 21 in the last few laps, and ultimately came up a little bit short. But what were your thoughts going into those last 10 or 15 laps?
Well, what led to it like that, I think I might have been able to get by Todd earlier, but with the guys on little rusher tires behind us, they were catching us, so I decided to stay right behind Todd, and I told him that. I said, I'm staying here so those guys behind us don't catch us, and I think good thing we did, and otherwise I think Stewart would have been right there with us. But as far as I'd say the last 5 laps is when I had decided that now we're going to try, and I figured by the end of the run, or that point in the run, it was going to be hard to pass, and I could get a run on him, especially in 1 and 2, and so I tried to use that as my advantage to get the run down the straightaway, and I figured he wouldn't give me the outside, so I went low, and I was hoping to carry a little more speed out, but figured I wasn't going to be able to, and it didn't. But, I'm happy to finish second. It's better than letting Stewart get up there and steal a spot for me.
Yeah, we saw you guys working together, and I wasn't sure if that was to try and catch the drivers that were staying out during that pit cycle, and ultimately they pitted. But were you concerned that they might be able to make it on fuel?
The only way they would have made it on fuel is if they would have saved, I think they needed to save 2 laps to make it, which would have meant they'd have had to clutch it for a long ways. And even then, we would end up catching them. I mean, if Frederick was trying to save, we still were going to catch him. I mean, it was just that point where I think it was 20 laps on the tires, you were just falling out of the 41s. So the amount of time that we were gaining, it pretty much showed.
Yeah, they were running in the 42s or high 41s, which was pretty good, considering they were both pretty damaged trucks. But yeah, I think you guys definitely would have gotten there. But we saw you kind of lose some track position at various points, pit strategies and things like that. But you were able to work your way, back up into the top 3 there at the end. And was your strategy to try and beat Todd to pit road, or I think you ended up coming in afterwards? But what were your thoughts there, before the cycle started?
I wanted to be on the same tires or better. So as soon as he pitted, I knew I had to pit the next lap or I'd lose too much time. I actually thought Stewart was going to come with me because I called it out early enough. I thought he was going to come with me, but he didn't. And I got on the pit road, probably the best I've ever gotten on the pit road, because I was at the line. I know I was over at the line, but I got it slowed down below pit road speed once I crossed it, so it saved me. But when I come off pit road, and I was almost up to speed with Todd, so that's about as close as I could get for getting on pit road. That's really what got me, I think, second place, to be able to latch right onto his draft right away.
Yeah, I think you came in. You had been about a second and a half behind him before the pit cycle started, and you came out about 6/10, 7/10 behind him. So you actually gained time, even though you pitted a lap later, which means you had a really good cycle. and he might have lost some time on entry or exit. But I was kind of surprised. I thought you'd be farther back, and ended up working out for you. But next week we're going to Talladega. It's a lot more drafting. What are your thoughts going there?
Strap up tight and hang on.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's really about all you can do there. I mean, it's a luck race. I mean, it's, do you hang in the back or do you stay in the front? But if you get too far back and you don't have a group of at least 4 guys that can hold a good line, you're not going to ever catch the pack again. So you got to hang with the lead pack somewhat. If you don't, I haven't really ran in the new draft mile, so I could be wrong there too. I don't know, but that's the way it worked last time we were there at Daytona. But hoping for a good finish. We need to make up for one of our lousy finishes early at the end of the year. But if we can get one other good finish ahead of Robert, it's really going to shake the points up.
Yeah, you and Todd came in tied for second place, I believe, on points. He had the advantage because of the win, and he'll hold on to that because of tonight's win. But Robert finished in 8th, so I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work out with the points, but I think you guys might leapfrog him here if the finishes are, if those are your top finishes throughout the season so far. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out as you guys go in next week.
Yeah, I know our drop weeks are figured in right away after week 2, so they're already figured into the points, so the points are always accurate. And the only time it might change is, say, the last race of the season. So, but yeah, it's been good. I mean, it was a lot of some good fun racing up front. I mean, you really had to watch it a few times, but I mean, other than that, it was hard to pass. I mean, if you could pass low early in the run, but as the run went on, you really needed to be able to come in high and not really diving it, but just get the car to go straight off the corner, and then you had tons of speed. But if you kept running down to the bottom, it would just burn the right front off.
Yeah, that's kind of what we saw throughout the race, and it seemed like when some drivers tried to make passes in the center of the turn, that's when the contact was made, and we had those few cautions. But overall, pretty solid race. I'd say a lot of 3 wide and side by side, even for it being so hard to pass. I was pretty surprised. Another great show by you guys.
Yeah, I mean, first half of the race was great. Or the second half of the race was great. First half was a little shaky, but I mean, it all worked out in the end. Everybody got their stuff together and figured it out, which was good. I mean, thank these guys every week for coming in. I'll just go right in and thanking people. Thank you guys for broadcasting. Thank all the admins for helping, doing what they do, and thanking WISEGUY Designs. They do graphic designs, I believe, for overlays and stuff like that. So as far as like cars and stuff, I believe, I could be wrong, but I'll get that straightened out. I should have wrote it down beforehand, but gotta thank all them and everybody else.
Awesome, Seth. Well, congrats on second place. We'll let you go celebrate, and I'll catch up with you later.
All right, thanks, Adam.
All right, and that was our second place finisher, Seth Schultz, coming up just a little bit short behind our winner here tonight. We're bringing him up in the booth right now. Todd Cray, Adam in the SR booth. You got a copy?
Hey, guys. Got you loud and clear.
Awesome, Todd. Well, another victory for you here on the season. This is number 2, I believe. How are you feeling?
Whew. Feeling awesome after that one. That was a tough one there. A lot of different variables came up in that race, and, got a little help there at the end from Seth. Really kept us where we need to be. So, but man, whew, what an awesome race.
Yeah, you were up towards the front pretty much the entire time. I don't think we saw you get shuffled too far back through pit strategies and things, but you were definitely really smooth. I didn't see any issues with you catching the wall or sliding the truck or anything like that. But yeah, definitely a close finish between you and Seth with him pushing you there. Did you think he was maybe going to try and move earlier, or had you guys communicated pretty well that you were going to work together until late in the race?
Yeah, I wasn't really sure. I knew probably his best chance to try to make a move was when he got to me, and but he had more knowledge of me with guys behind us with tires, and I take my hat off to Seth tonight for staying in line and keeping us up there and then trying to battle at the end. So that was pretty cool, and I returned the favor sometime, to him along the way. But yeah, I mean, I think qualifying was a big part of tonight for us. Getting the start up front was a big deal. If you got shuffled back, I know Robert seen him fall back. I don't know. I think he pitted a time that we all did, and I think it kind of shuffled him back. So I'm not sure where he finished yet, but either way, I mean, the first half of the race was hard to get a feel on the long run, but second half of the race, I wanted to get that last pit stop in early as well. I didn't want to give those guys a lap, to try to make up that little bit of time because that position was so important. So it just played out well, and we were able to put in the last 4 or 5 good laps and not get loose and not, like you said, tag the wall and keep the truck clean. So really cool.
Yeah, nice solid run from you and Seth up there. And Seth had been shuffled back a couple times. Josh Stewart was closing in. It was getting pretty intense there at the end. Did you think that those two guys who had stayed out a long time, Hofstetter and Cody Franklin, do you think they were going to try and stretch it on fuel, or what were you thinking about that?
Honestly, I really wasn't paying too much attention. I didn't really know, honestly. I was just banking on them pitting. Just run my lines, hit my marks, not try to overdrive it because that's where you get in trouble here. Not only to take on damage, but to wear those tires out. So I just kept focusing on the track and doing the best that I could to keep my truck together and make the end of that race. And if they made it, then we'd have a lesson to learn. But fortunately, they had to pit, and we kept her in one piece and stayed consistent and had a little help and had a real fun race there.
Yeah, I think consistency was definitely the key tonight because it didn't seem like you were necessarily the fastest guy all the time throughout the race, but you were the guy out front. And I think every lap, you were running consistent times, and we'd see people behind you run faster laps, but then they'd have a mistake, getting loose somewhere or getting too tight. But
Yeah, that actually comes to play on restarts. How hard do you want to go to try to keep those tires on the truck? A lot of guys, they go hard. Yeah, they go 10 or 12 laps, and you don't really want to fall back too far, so you maybe have to run a little harder. But yeah, that's part of the plan to stay consistent, and that helps your tire scrub too. So as those laps wound down, the truck was feeling pretty good. So it was right on the edge still. We were a little loose coming off still, even though it was starting to tighten up. But man, it was awesome.
yeah, great run for you here tonight. Next week we're going to Talladega, so there'll be quite a bit of drafting there. You guys already got a little bit of practice in at the end of this race, but what are your thoughts going out there?
Talladega, kind of a crapshoot for me. We'll just go out there, try to hold good lines, try to stay out of trouble, work on trying to get a good starting spot, not making any mistakes, finding some draft partners, and basically just wing it and just go for it and hope for the best. Stay out of the big one would be good.
Yeah, I think with a solid finish, you should stay up there in the points. You come in second place in the points, tied with Seth, actually. You had the tiebreaker with the win, and this is going to only push you farther up in that tiebreaker. And you beat him, so you're going to move forward with that. But Robert actually finished back in 8th, so you may be the new points leader after everything shakes out here.
Hey, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
these guys are tough. These guys are tough. Every week they're bringing it. So it's 1 week at a time. I'm not going to concentrate too much on the points right now. Wins equals, good points night. So we're going to try to keep that going.
Yeah, it's good to try and get max points, lead the most laps and finish on top. That's definitely the way to go. And you're doing a good job right now, tied for most wins this year, and possibly going to be the new points leader after tonight. So congrats on that. You started 3rd here tonight, led 31 laps, and held off Seth there at the end. And before we let you go celebrate the win, anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, start with SR Broadcasting for putting on the show here. It's awesome. Wise Guy Designs on for tonight. How you doing? Pretty cool sponsor there. I like that. I'm gonna go check out them on Facebook at facebook.com. Wise Guy Design. Looks like a lot of cool stuff there. Clocks by Christopher. They're on with me now full time. Pets in Paradise. My boy Hollow Leg Longstreet for helping me out today. And I think that's about a wrap, guys.
Awesome, Todd. Well, great run tonight. Way to hold off the number 31 there at the very end, and you take away the victory here tonight. So go celebrate. We'll catch up with you later.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
You got it.
All right. So that was our winner here tonight, Todd Cray, taking his 2nd victory of the year. 31 laps led, held on for the victory at the very end after a hard charge by the 31 of Seth Schultz. Josh Stewart was also closing in, but not able to get there in time. But Todd comes away with the win, and we're going to run through the rest of our results here in just a second. And we had a few things shake out differently here at the end than we expected. A few drivers in the top 10 that we maybe didn't, expect to see there. But some good runs by a lot of drivers here tonight, and we'll be moving on to Talladega, which is a complete and total mess sometimes. But we'll see how these guys do out there. But tonight's results: Todd Cray comes away with the win. Started third and held on at the end. Seth Schultz comes up a little bit short once again, finishes second. I think that's the second or third time we've seen him finish there. Looking for a breakthrough win at some point this year. After starting ninth, he comes away second. Josh Stewart finishing third. Mark Jenkins comes home fourth. Jason Mullis holds on for fifth. Ron Hollifield with a nice strong run in sixth. Jay Felton finishes seventh. Robert Berus back in eighth. Thomas McBride finishes ninth, and David Camara winds out the top 10 after getting involved in a couple incidents there. So good run by the 72 to recover. Adam Nowimski comes home 11th. Art Peck 12th. Adam Matz 13th. Rodney Kramer 14th. Adam Lewis 15th. Bruce Pearson 16th. Josue Tellez 17th. Frederick Hofstetter 18th. Brad Speidel 19th. And Cody Franklin in 20th. Rob Jenkins comes home 21st. Mike Major 22nd. Caleb Thompson 23rd. James Brown 24th. Caleb Goodenough 25th. Travis Bennett 26th. Robert Dudley 27th. And Wingnut was not in the race. So he's at the bottom of the board there, but did not participate in the race tonight. So that was our race here tonight at DieHard Racing League. I want to give a big shout out once again to WISEGUY Design for sponsoring the series here tonight. They have a lot of really cool paint scheme work, as well as hero cards, t-shirts, and racing merchandise that you can get custom designed or made for your real life or sim racing team. So go check them out on Facebook. We have the link in the description below, and go check them out and check out their awesome work. We want to thank all the admins and everybody who makes this possible every week. We want to thank you guys, the viewers, for coming in and checking out the race. Next week we'll be back with the DieHard Racing League at Talladega on Sunday night. We have a couple more races coming up this week. We've got the Paskies Racing League a couple times, I believe, probably Monday and Friday. We've also got the Somo Capital Auto Repair and Service Truck Series on Wednesday nights. So tune in for that one. We're getting pretty close to the chase in that series, and it's really heating up over there. So come check that out. And once again, we want to thank all our sponsors here and everybody who makes this possible. So thanks for tuning in. Keep an eye out for all those other broadcasts, and we will catch you next time.